United Nations estimates that 2 million children globally are forced into prostitution and pornography each year. The sexual exploitation of children is fueled by depraved sex predators, criminals who prey on the most vulnerable of victims, putting a price tag on their innocence. In places where money is scarce, these deviants gather, forging a network of criminals who profit from the demand and supply of children. They are among Asia's most repulsive criminals. September 5, 2010, police raid a guest house on the outskirts of Phnom Penh to find 3 underage Cambodian girls with a 50-year-old British national, a former UK government advisor. Present at the scene was the head of the anti-human trafficking police and agents from APLE, a local organization that investigates and brings pedophiles to justice.
When we went into the guest house, he was with 3 very young girls, 8, 9, 10, and 11, sitting on his bed, ready for sex.
Having escaped the clutches of Cambodian laws before, Leach is fearless of authorities during the arrest.
Your name? Mogi. Mogi Moo. Sure? Mogi. Mogi. Mogi Moo.
He did not look frightened, he did not look scared at all, because to what I can say, he was experienced, and because he believed he would come into this situation one day.
Leach had been under APLE investigation before, in 2005, when he allegedly sexually abused young girls while posing as a doctor at an orphanage. He was acquitted by the courts due to lack of evidence. This time around, investigators are determined to gather enough evidence to convict him of his crimes. Their immediate source of evidence is the girls.
In many cases, that the victim was actually not cooperative because they wanted to secure financial relationship with their own abuser.
ខ្ញុំសូមជម្រាបថាពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងបណ្ដាញនៃការជួញដូរកុមារសម្រាប់ឲ្យពួកបរទេសរួមភេទនេះគឺវាមានបណ្ដាញពួកអ្នកគ្នាគឺមានមេខ្យល់ដែលស្គាល់ជាមួយពួកបរទេសហើយវាទំនាក់ទំនងជាមួយពួកបរទេសហើយពួកមេខ្យល់នេះវាស្គាល់ជាមួយនឹងបណ្ដាញនៅក្នុងប្រទេសកម្ពុជាហើយបណ្ដាញហ្នឹងស្គាល់ជាមួយនឹងគ្រួសារដែលមានកុមារជាក្មេងស្រីតូចៗដែលជាតំណែងរបស់ជនបរទេសនោះ
Leach paid $1,500 for a sex contract with 3 underage girls for a period of 1 week. Before catching him red-handed, APLE agents conduct a thorough surveillance on Leach, following intel on a child prostitution ring 2 days prior. Agents witness Leach being driven around town by a local driver. The suspect purchased candies and lingerie before going to Kyansvei district, a place known for its sex establishments. Leach eventually leads the undercover agents to this guest house just outside Phnom Penh, where the raid and arrest take place.
He made a deal with 2 pimps and the mother of 3 girls, age under 15. Okay, so the mother agreed to sell her own 3 girls to the pimp, who then transferred the 3 girls to this man for 1 week sexual abuse contract.
Leach's accomplices were also arrested, including his driver, the owner of the guest house, and the girl's mother. Leach was charged with 3 counts of purchasing sex with underage girls. According to prosecutors, Leach tried several times to delay his trial, often faking illness on his court dates. But on the 8th of September 2011, Michael Julian Leach was finally convicted to 12 years imprisonment and forced to pay compensation money to his victims. The sexual exploitation of children occurs around the world, a crime that crosses all borders and afflicts all societies. Cambodia, among the world's poorest countries, is a breeding ground for the child sex trade. The country's Minister of Women's Affairs estimated that around 30,000 Cambodian children were forced into prostitution in 2005. It is one of the global hotspots selling commercial sex with the young and attracting pedophiles from all over the world.
Some traveler from the Western country actually coming here with purposes of engaging sexually with children. So they actually operate in a way that they believe they can find here in the street. They believe that they can buy a child for sex.
According to Agent Sela, there are 2 ways a pedophile will hunt. Some make direct contact with children or families on the streets, while others use the help of a local establishment or middlemen. These underground dealers hide under layers of secrecy that make them extremely difficult to bring to justice.
ពាក់ព័ន្ធជាមួយនឹងក្រុមមេខ្យល់អស់នេះគឺវារស់នៅមិនពិតប្រាកដទេអញ្ចឹងវារស់នៅតាមផ្ទះជួលមួយក៏ផ្ទះកន្លែងណាដែលពួកយើងមិនបានដឹងនោះទេ
ចេះខ្ញុំសូមបញ្ជាក់បន្តិចក្រុមមេខ្យល់ចាក្រុមមេខ្យល់មិនមែនជាអ្នកក្រីក្រទេចាហើយភាគច្រើនដែលមិនមែនជាអ្នកក្រទេធ្វើម៉េចឲ្យតែគេមុខរបរគេរកស៊ីបាន
The relentless sex trade has made Cambodia an increasingly dangerous place for the young. As predators of children sink further into depravity, even a shelter for abandoned street kids can be turned into a child's nightmare.
So now we have cases of people who probably run an NGO or work in an NGO to get access to children.
April 21st, 2010, police and child protection agents searched the home of 66-year-old Cornelius Shamalo in Sihanoukville, Cambodia. The Dutchman is the director of a local orphanage in the coastal town.
I object that you can, because there is nothing with the children, have nothing to do with the picture of
If everything is not related to the children, no problem, just give.
Authorities raid his apartment after 3 boys from the home complained of sexual abuse.
When he was out with this 4 to 7 kids outside, he was playing in an appropriate way by touching, by hugging, by kissing, by actually playing around their genital part.
The Dutchman was convicted in February 2011 for indecent acts against 2 underage boys. Under Cambodian law, indecency against minors that excludes sexual intercourse carries a maximum sentence of 3 years. Shamalo was sentenced to 18 months in prison and served only half of it. Agent Sela and his team have requested for prosecutors to oppose the court's light sentence. Their disappointment stems from the possibility that Shamalo may strike again after his early release. APLE is just one of many child protection agencies putting pressure on the prosecution of pedophiles. Sex predators who are aware of such scrutiny have developed a new mode of operation to escape detection.
They believe that they have to change their way. So now pedophile work as a fundraising for the NGO for him to get access to children.
Such an operation means that pedophiles get to establish long-term relationships with their victims, manipulating children to unknowingly submit to sexual abuse. Running an orphanage to get access to children shows how increasingly brazen foreign pedophiles have become. And when the profile of the typical Western pedophile is rich, advanced in his years, and retired, they often think they are above the law.
In one of the pedophile cases specifically of the Dutch national, we were actually offered $100,000 to withdraw from the legal case.
I don't like that, I make an appointment with
And there, he also tried to locate our office in order to make a deal. We did not accept the deal.
But in a poverty-stricken country like Cambodia, cash is often the ultimate temptation, even if it means selling your own kids.
2006 នៅក្នុងឆ្នាំនោះហើយដែលខ្ញុំគិតថាឆាកជីវិតនៃការតស៊ូដើម្បីប្រយុទ្ធប្រឆាំងនឹងការជួញដូរមនុស្សរបស់ខ្ញុំគឺខ្លាំងក្លាមែនទែនគឺការនឹងដើមឆ្នាំ2006ដូចជាក្នុងខែ3ក្នុងឆ្នាំ2006នោះគឺខ្ញុំបានប្រតិបត្តិការ
These shadowy businessmen also lurk in brothels, using children to lure customers. Authorities say families in rural areas of Cambodia are often tricked into giving away their children for what they think are decent-paying jobs, only to have their young ones end up working in brothels. 24-year-old Chai Vern was born into a poor family plagued by debt. At only 13 years old, she was sold off by her aunt.
គាត់ទៅប្រាប់ខ្ញុំថាឲ្យខ្ញុំនឹងមកធ្វើការងារនៅពេញហើយគាត់នឹងរកការងារឲ្យខ្ញុំធ្វើការលាងចានឲ្យគេ
Instead of washing dishes and earning an honest income, Chai Vern was tortured into sexual slavery. She was forced to serve clients every day and was brutally punished if she refused.
ខ្ញុំយំទៀមផ្ទះវិញគាត់យកខ្ញុំទៅឃុំនៅបន្ទប់ខំដីពេលដែលយកខ្ញុំទៅដាក់នៅបន្ទប់ខំដីហើយគាត់ឲ្យខ្ញុំទទួលភ្ញៀវគេតែងតែវាយធ្វើបាបខ្ញុំដោយយកខ្សែភ្លើងមកឆក់ខ្ញុំហើយធ្វើទរណកម្មខ្ញុំ
With no way out, her nightmare only got worse.
ហើយគេអត់ឲ្យខ្ញុំគេងទេគេថាបើចង់អត់ឲ្យងុយដេកប្រើថ្នាំខ្ញុំអត់ព្រមប្រើទេខ្ញុំសួរគេបង្ខំខ្ញុំគេធ្លាប់ចាក់ថ្នាំឲ្យខ្ញុំហើយគេប្រើខ្ញុំប្រើថ្នាំជក់ពេលខ្ញុំព្រមគេវាយធ្វើបាបខ្ញុំហើយដោយសារខ្ញុំខ្លាចខ្ញុំភ័យខ្ញុំចេះធ្វើតាមគេទៅគេប្រើខ្ញុំធ្វើអីក៏ខ្ញុំធ្វើដែររហូតដល់ខ្ញុំខ្លាចជាមនុស្សម្នាក់ដែលញៀនថ្នាំបាត់បង់អ្វីទាំងអស់ខ្ញុំលែងគិតអីទាំងអស់
Sadly, her story is not unique. Thousands of children are victimized by the same deceit every year. 20-year-old Srey Pick was forced into prostitution at a young age after running away from home to escape her sexually abusive father. While living on the streets, she met a lady who offered help. But instead of being sent to a safer place, Srey was sold to a brothel.
ខ្ញុំត្រូវគេលក់អីហើយខ្លួនខ្ញុំត្រូវគេទិញអីចឹងខ្ញុំត្រូវទទួលគេទទួល10ទៅ20នាក់ខ្ញុំធ្វើអត់បានទេពេលបងបានបាយខ្ញុំឆក់ខ្សែភ្លើងខ្ញុំគ្រប់បែបយ៉ាងអត់ឲ្យខ្ញុំញ៉ាំបាយទេ
Local men believe that sleeping with underage virgins will bring them increased vitality and untold health benefits. Profiting from this myth are underground syndicates that sell children to rich, primarily Asian men. The price tag for a virgin can go up to $1,000.
Some people, they believe that if they have sex with a young virgin girl, they are free from HIV/AIDS. Help them to have strong energy, bring them good luck, long life with good luck with a business and a healthy, wealthy, something like that. This is some people, they believe in this. So this is one of the factors that the rich people, businessmen, they are the men looking for the girl as young as possible.
When caught, the disgrace faced by the criminal can be overwhelming. And fearing a lifelong campaign of hatred against them, many choose an easier way out. Convicted pedophiles are often punished with public humiliation. These criminals not only incur the wrath of their victims and the general public, but also fellow prison inmates. Even the hardest criminals are known to be intolerant of crimes against children. Behind bars, pedophiles are thrown into the lowest rungs of the prison hierarchy, facing intense harassment from other inmates, and in some cases, becoming the target for violent murders. It is no wonder that when caught red-handed by police, many pedophiles are desperate for any way out. In early August 2006, children's screams echo from a house in a Phnom Penh neighborhood, raising suspicions. The home belongs to 60-year-old German schoolteacher Karl-Heinz Henning Opitz. Word of neighbors' complaints soon reach APLE, an independent organization of law enforcement agents combating child sex crimes.
Our agent went to the scene and tried to identify the girl in the home. So we went upstairs and we tried to observe from a distance of his home, and we could see some kind of camera flash. We could see voice of young children laughing, screaming, something like that.
Undercover surveillance reveals underage girls being escorted to his house by Vietnamese adults. The children suspiciously spend 3 to 4 hours inside the house during each visit. Agents follow the escorts to their home addresses. After questioning neighbors, they discover that the suspects are part of a child trafficking ring. It was time for the police to step in.
ចឹងពេលហ្នឹងក៏យើងធ្វើការតាមដានរហូតដល់ថ្ងៃមួយគឺយើងសម្រេចថាយើងនឹងប្រតិបត្តិការចឹងពេលដែលគេបណ្ដាញជួយដូរកុមារនោះនាំក្មេងទៅឲ្យគាត់ទៅលើផ្ទះពេលដែលនាំទៅគាត់ទៅលើផ្ទះហើយយើងក៏រងចាំខាងក្រោមពេលដែលកុមារចូលមកជនល្មើសដែលជាបណ្ដាញចូលមកយើងក៏ឃាត់ខ្លួនយកទៅសាកសួរជនល្មើសនៅលើផ្ទះពេលដែលជនល្មើសនៅលើផ្ទះនោះយើងផ្សាយឡើងបានសុំដីកាតុលាការដើម្បីឆែកឆេរផ្ទះគាត់
His 20 years of experience in the police force was not enough to prepare Lieutenant Colonel Cao Thea for what he and his team uncovered during the raid. While authorities search the premises, house owner German pedophile Opitz looks on nervously. Sadomasochistic sex items are found, along with children's soft toys. Police also discover 18 videotapes and 8 computer hard drives filled with photos and videos of Opitz and an accomplice raping and torturing young local children. In some cases, the children appear to be bound and drugged. Opitz knows the evidence is unequivocal, more than enough to convict him of explicit and illegal sexual conduct with children. He also knows the likely consequences. From here on, Opitz will have to face the immense shame and public hatred for his misdeeds. In this rare video captured of his arrest, authorities gather his possessions while Opitz contemplates his situation. With no way out, he decides to make a run for it, jumping off the balcony.
គាត់បានស្លាប់ត្រូវបានប៉ូលីសយើងជួយជូនគាត់ទៅទីពេទ្យដើម្បីព្យាបាលគាត់ហើយយើងនឹងឆែកឆេរក្នុងកុំព្យូទ័ររបស់គាត់ក្នុងរូបភាពដែលគាត់បានថតទុកនោះគឺយើងឃើញថាមានពួកម៉ាក់គាត់ម្នាក់ទៀត
Opitz is not the only arrested pedophile who has tried to take his own life. In October 2006, 50-year-old American police officer Donald Rene Ramirez committed suicide while in police custody in Cambodia. Ramirez had been arrested and thrown in a local jail cell for having sex with a 14-year-old girl. Once more, the repercussions of facing the outside world were too much for him to handle.
យប់ហ្នឹងគឺគាត់បានទាញយកកំភ្លើងប៉ាអ៊ីកំភ្លើងប៉ូលីសយើងដេកនៅប៉ាអ៊ីខាងក្រៅហើយគាត់លូកយកឈើជូតកណាត់ហ្នឹងទាញយកប៉ាអ៊ីមកចិត្តដៃគាត់ក៏លូកយកកំភ្លើងពីក្បាលតនេតរបស់មន្ត្រីប៉ូលីសយើងដែលប៉ូលីសយើងចេញទៅក្រៅបាត់ជើងគាត់ដឹងថាឃើញប៉ូលីសយើងចេញក្រៅបាត់ជើងផ្លេចទុកកំភ្លើងនៅលើក្បាលតនេតហ្នឹងគាត់ក៏ទាញយកប៉ាអ៊ីមកចិត្តលូកយកកំភ្លើងគាត់ក៏បាញ់សម្រាប់ខ្លួនឯងនៅក្នុងអាគារគាត់ខ្លួនរបស់យើង
But whatever the outcome of convicted pedophiles, their victims are psychologically scarred for life. Child sex victim Srey, who spent her childhood forced into prostitution, can still recall the trauma.
អត់ឲ្យខ្ញុំញ៉ាំបាយទេបើខ្ញុំអត់ព្រមទទួលភ្ញៀវពេលហ្នឹងខ្ញុំដូចមនុស្សស្លាប់ម្ដងទៀតអញ្ចឹងពេលហ្នឹងខ្ញុំចង់សម្លាប់ខ្លួនណាខ្ញុំគិតថាជីវិតខ្ញុំអត់មានន័យអីទេ
Often victims of those kind of sexual abuses experience nightmares and flashbacks and those common effects of trauma that are often associated with post-traumatic stress disorder. That can often lead to lots of issues around feeling a sense of safety in the community as they grow older, a lack of trust for adults, particularly for child sex trafficking survivors who were perhaps sold into that situation by their families.
After escaping her ordeal, Srey was sent to a shelter where she lives with other victims who share similar histories. The Somali Mom Foundation helps these girls to reintegrate back into society after their traumatic past.
ដល់ពេលខ្ញុំមកដល់ក្នុងនេះខ្ញុំបានរៀនអក្សររៀនជំនាញកាត់ដេរហើយខ្ញុំបានរៀនជំនាញផ្សេងៗពីម៉ាក់ប៉ានៅនឹងពីមិត្តភក្តិនៅនឹងហើយខ្ញុំមានអារម្មណ៍ខ្ញុំកក់ក្ដៅដែលខ្ញុំគ្មានភាពកក់ក្ដៅពីមុនមកសោះ
A crucial part of the healing process for victims of sexual abuse is to know that the perpetrators have been arrested and convicted. Opitz was sentenced to 28 years in a Cambodian prison on charges of human trafficking and child pornography. The conviction means another successful mission for APLE. Over the course of 8 years, they have helped bring to justice over 150 sex offenders in Cambodia.
I would say this is still a long way to go. I cannot say the problem is increase or decrease. I would say that the problem still exists.
After local and international pressure, the law of suppression of human trafficking and sexual exploitation came to fruition in 2008. This new law gives police more power to investigate and arrest sex offenders and has put in place more juvenile protection police units. Backed by new legislation, authorities have also intensified their clampdown on child sex offenders in the country. Hundreds have been arrested, but only time will tell if such improved measures are enough to deter future child sex bandits.
បណ្ដាញ network again network ចឹងពួកយើងសហការគ្នាដើម្បីប្រយុទ្ធជាមួយនឹងពួកជនកលខទាំងអស់នោះទាំងនៅក្នុងប្រទេសទាំងនៅក្រៅប្រទេសបើអាចមានទំនាក់ទំនងគ្នាពួកយើងនឹងខិតខំប្រឹងប្រែងដើម្បីប្រយុទ្ធទាំងអស់គ្នាឲ្យអស់នៅជនល្មើសកុំឲ្យមាននៅលើโลกនេះ